Hey guys, I'm here to teach you about the science of vexillology. But Ezra, what is vexillology, you may ask? Well, vexillology is the study of flags. And what better way is there to learn about flags than with my new video series, Fantastic Flags? So let's talk about what makes a well-designed flag. A well-designed flag is a flag that has around 2 or 3 colors in its color palette. This is important because if there are too many colors in the flag, it could become overwhelming and make the flag appear ugly. The flag should also be relatively easy to draw from memory. There's sort of leeway here, but usually if you could draw it from memory, the graphical organization of the flag is well designed, and it's important that it's well designed so that you can easily distinguish it from afar. That's my next point. You should be able to easily distinguish this from afar because you fly a flag. You don't just frame it. You fly a flag, and the point of flying a flag is to, signify what it stands for and remind people the supposed greatness of your country. And if you cannot see it from afar, it really does take away what the flag does stand for. And the flag, final point is the flag should have some sort of symbolism. Either through the colors or through the symbols present in the flag. You gotta easily distinguish what the flag, stands for. How does it reflect the country, and how does it reflect the country's geographical and historical features and events. So I've compiled a few of what I think are the most well-designed flags. As you can see, it's the American flag, the South African flag, and one of my most favorite flags, the Israeli flag. The reason why these are, we'll start with the American flag. The American flag is well designed because, as you can probably tell from experience, because most of my viewers, or you guys, man, look at me, big brain. Most of you guys live in America, and you can see the American flag from afar. It has 3 colors, and although it's not very distinguishable from this drawing, it does have 50 stars, representing the 50 states of the United States of America. Hence the name. And the fact that it has red, white, and blue really strengthens its what it stands for. Blue representing perseverance through troubling times, red representing valor, and white representing purity. I guess the red, especially with the valor, and also could mean bloodshed, not just the suffering of our civilians, but also the valor of our victory against England with our gained independence in 1776, and so on and so forth. The white stands for purity, and it's important that it stands for purity, and it's important that it's in the flag because it really does represent how, I guess, pure our judicial and law system in America is today. Although some of us, or not some of us, rather, or a lot of American citizens do take for granted how well-designed and well set our law system is. Sometimes we do forget that other countries do face horrible law systems and judicial systems, and the balance and checks of power are horribly mismatched. So the purity of our law system does match there. So now let's turn our heads to the South African flag. The reason why this flag is good may surprise, well, not really surprise you, but it does go against some rules. It doesn't have just 2 or 3 colors. It has around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 colors. Obviously, it's way past 2 or 3, but the reason why this is among one of my most favorite flags is because it's very easily distinguishable. You can see it from afar. You can draw it from memory. And the way it's coordinated, the colors, it really does not hinder what the colors do stand for, and it does make the flag appear um, you know, visually appealing, despite its huge color palette. The green here represents the fertility of its agriculture. The yellow representing wealth, as it is one of the most wealthiest African countries. Red and blue we went over, and white we went over, and yeah, those are the pretty much the main colors in the flag. Now, the Israeli flag is probably one of my most favorite flags because of how simple yet distinguishable and symbolic this flag is. The reason why I like this flag is because it only has two colors in its color scheme, white and blue. And it's not too hard to draw from memory. It's just the Star of David as its main, I guess, attraction, if you will. It's symbolic as to how much, or how Judaism is a predominant religion in Israel, and the the blue, does signify the perseverance, especially with the perseverance of Judaism in Israel, especially with its fight of territory against the other two major monotheistic religions. Ooh, big mouthful. So these flags are what I would call really well designed flags. So now let's turn our heads to what would make a poorly designed flag. A poorly designed flag is a flag that has a poor color palette, usually too many colors, or the colors are poorly coordinated. Most of the time you'll see the coat of arms of the country on the flag, and although it's fine, it's symbolic, it does take away the simplicity of the flag that it should have. You could also see complex figures in the flag, which is obviously hard to draw and hard to distinguish from afar. And the and sometimes, very rarely on occasion, you will see a border around the flag. And borders are, in my opinion, not just my opinion, if you'll look at flags with borders, you will see that they are not the most visually appealing. So I compiled a few poorly designed flags, and by no means, with all due respect, the flags that the countries that these flags represent are beautiful, and it's just the flags that are, with all due respect, ugly. If you're from these countries, please forgive me. I just don't think these are well designed. As you can see, it's the Spanish flag on the top left. It's farthest to the right, it's the Sri Lankan flag, which is south of India, if you locate it on a map. And the bottommost flag is the flag of Uruguay. Now, you can see, right off the bat, you can see that these flags were hard to draw. Especially the flag of Sri Lanka. I tried to draw it from memory. Just that it really is hard to remember the distinctive figures of it. Especially with the right half of the flag kind of, messed up on the line. So let's talk about the Spanish flag first. The reason why the Spanish flag is poorly designed is because it retains the coat of arms on the flag, and usually you want to avoid the coat of arms on your flag. The reason being is because, as previously mentioned, the coat of arms is really hard to draw from memory, and it's very hard to see from afar. Sometimes you'll hang a flag indoors, and you have to do it a special way, of course, most of the time. But then you could distinguish the coat of arms, but usually from afar, which is the most times you're going to see the flag, it's going to be very hard to distinguish the coat of arms. Though it is very symbolic, usually, especially with the Spanish flag. The Spanish flag, although poorly designed, it does represent... Spain is still a very beautiful country. So are all these countries. Spain, very beautiful country, very rich historic background. Sri Lanka, beautiful tropical weather, and beautiful tropical rainforests, especially. And Uruguay, which is actually statistically one of the safest countries in South America to this date. It's just these flags, though. But the Spanish flag does have really good color coordination. You can see the red and the yellow. Red signifying valor, especially with its um, history, and yellow signifying its wealth, which signifies that it is a very wealthy country. Red is also usually, which I thought this was very curious. Not curious, but it was kind of cool because red usually signifies passion and love and adoration, and Spain does have such a rich culture of, especially roses, and there's a lot of red. Not everywhere, but in Spain, red is a very important color. Not unlike China actually, but yeah. The Sri Lankan flag, which is, with all due respect, probably the worst flag I've ever seen in the world, not including state flags. Those are a different topic. Um, those are horrid. But the Sri Lankan flag, the reason why it's such a mess is because it's all over the place. First, let's talk about the left half. First, let's talk about the border. You really don't want a border around your flag. It looks like a picture frame, and obviously, you don't frame a flag. You hang it, or you fly it. You don't frame a flag. So, especially with yellow, it doesn't complement any of the other colors in the flag. And the left half, there's blue and orange, and usually I would support contrasting in opposite colors on the color wheel. One example is red and green. You can see that especially in Spider-Man comic books, where Spider-Man is wearing red most of the time, and the villains are usually green, which I thought was curious when I looked into it. But usually colors can support each other. That's why there's such a stark contrast between Spider-Man and his villains. But here, blue and orange, which are opposite colors, do not at all support each other aesthetically. This is because of, especially their hues. They are, they do clash each other very significantly, and it's very, very, with all due respect, disgusting. It's disgusting, especially with the yellow border. The right half is even more of a mess because, first of all, you can't draw it from memory. You absolutely cannot draw it from memory. It's really hard. It's a line with a sword, and there are fine lines and everything. First of all, it's very difficult to distinguish from afar when it's being flown on a pole, and especially with the corner marks, and most of the time you can't even distinguish it as a lion, even though it does mean valor and courage. It is hard. It is very hard to distinguish as a lion, and hard to draw from memory, as I previously mentioned. So the Sri Lankan flag, unfortunately, is a very ugly flag, unlike its country, as previously mentioned, a beautiful country. Now let's move to the Uruguay flag, or flag of Uruguay. Yes, flag of Uruguay. It's not unlike other flags, especially our flag. But the reason being why it's so bad, not so bad. It's not as bad as other flags, but why it's not as good as it could be is because of the sun in the top left corner. Usually I would support a simple sun, a circle with 8 points on it. That would be very simple to draw, semi distinguishable from afar, especially if it's in the top left corner with appropriate proportions. But the fact is, it's very hard to draw because the Uruguayan flag put a face on it. Not that there's, I apologize with my poor artistic abilities, but as you can see, it is very hard to draw from memory. I got the white and blue down. Those are very distinguishable and very easy to memorize, but with the sun, it is hard to distinguish, especially with the face. Usually I would, or not usually, sorry. I do like it. It has correct proportions. The usual 2 to 3 height and width proportions. It does follow that rule. it's just the face on the sun does really take away from what the flag of Uruguay could be. Um, and usually, by the way, please look up these flags online because I did mess these up, and you really should see what these flags look like to serve them justice. I guess I guess you can put it that way. Uh, yeah, that's really it. So there you have it, folks. That's vexillology for you. Well, part one at least. So, yay! Have a good day, guys. And also, remember to have fun with your flags.